Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Superman, Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite. Take a look at this cover right here. Now, Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite has two big story arcs, there's two big themes to it. The first one is the introduction of the red kryptonite, given to Lex Luthor by a certain fifth-dimensional imp we all know and love. Now, the red kryptonite has the ability to steal Superman's powers, and Lex Luthor uses it to do such. Superman is now powerless. Now, instead of killing Superman outright, Lex Luthor rather humiliates Superman for everything that has happened to Lex up until this point. The loss of his hand, and the cancer he got from the kryptonite poisoning. Now, Superman is powerless, goes around town trying to take on big superpowered beings with no power at all. This gives Superman a respect for all the superheroes and vigilantes out there doing what they do with no powers at all, such as Gangbuster or Batman as such. Superman even goes so far as getting some special equipment from Hamilton, such as a force field belt, a superpower suit, among other things, and calls upon the help of some other superheroes to at least cover for him while he tries to figure out how to get his powers back. And how does he get his power back? Well, I can't reveal that. The other big story in this is the engagement of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Now, the engagement itself isn't anything special. Clark's proposed to her in such a casual manner, and she kind of just holds off telling her his answer until 2 issues later. The really important thing about this is the conflict that happens with Clark Kent when proposing her. See, Clark loves Lois Lane to death, but he has yet to tell her about his secret of being Superman. Lois does not know that Superman and Clark Kent are one and the same, and it weighs heavy on Clark Kent's conscience not telling Lois this big thing, because he's madly in love with her. They are going to be engaged to be married, and he has yet to tell her his biggest secret of all. How can he be with someone if he can't be completely, openly honest? He's worried about how Lois will react, not only to keeping secrets, but keeping a secret this big. Eventually they do get engaged, but it's not in this story that you find out whether or not he tells Lois or if he doesn't. That happens later on down the road. Now, there are two other small little issues in here. One team up with Guy Gardner and Hal Jordan once Superman gets his powers back. In addition to that, you get to see the death of Lex Luthor in this issue, where Lex takes the jet and decides to crash it. But does Lex really die? On to the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Now, the good. When I first read this, I thought it was a mediocre Superman story in itself. But when I reread this, it does have some rewarding qualities. Seeing Superman go around without his powers is interesting, and seeing how he deals with the situation. He really truly is Superman because he never gives up even the fact that he has none of his abilities or powers. He's willing to go the limit to protect Metropolis. It's also funny to see all the quirks and incidents that he gets himself in. Like at one point, he's tied up with some rope and is about to get fired upon by the police, who thinks that he can take the bullet. And it also is nice to see Lois Lane and Clark Kent get engaged. They have such a beautiful relationship, and probably the best one in comics. Definitely better than Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And it's interesting to see the conflict that happens between Superman and his conscience on whether or not to tell Lois Lane his secret. The bad part. They try to focus so much on Superman being powerless and Superman trying to propose to Lois Lane that they missed off on some key opportunities to tell some better stories. I feel as though they dragged the story on a little bit long too. They could have kind of done what they did in a shorter amount of time. In addition to that, there wasn't any real big threat to Superman when he had no powers, and this is probably my biggest complaint with the story. Being powerless, he does take on some big bad guys like Mammoth and dealing with some bomber person, I forget his name. But really, it would have been interesting if Darkseid or Brainiac or someone along that line shows up and gives Superman a challenge. However, no one does. It's just Superman taking on sea-level villains at best. But despite that, it's an okay Superman graphic novel. Is it the best? No. I recommend this to Superman fans because it will appeal to Superman fans the most. The introduction of the red kryptonite and the engagement of Lois Lane to Clark Kent. But to comic book fans, it's probably not the best pick, and they'll probably find this a little dry and a little bit mediocre and blah. But Superman fans will probably enjoy this, and it is essential to Superman mythos. So with that said, I'm going to say, Superman fans, pick it up. Everyone else, go and get a Batman story, because you can't go wrong with those. That said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.